Okay, kids, what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the Topic 6 test review. What I would like you to do is I would like you to make any changes you have on your paper, any corrections or any notes, put them right on your paper. That way when you take it home and you study, you'll be able to use this as a resource to help you prepare for the Topic 6 test coming up. Let's take a look at the first problem. Raven is making pillows. Each pillow requires 3/5 of a yard of fabric. If Raven has 6 yards of fabric, use the model to find 6 divided by 3/5, the number of pillows Raven can make. So here's the model, okay, and it will give you your answer. This is how you read one of these models. Our dividend, the number we're dividing, is right here. It's 6. So the whole length is going to be divided. It's 6 units. And it's going to be divided by 3/5. So in other words, each unit leading up to 6, each unit, okay, is divided into fifths. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, or 5 parts, 5/5 in each one of these. And what we've done is we're going to take 6, and we're going to divide it by groups of 3/5. That's why we have the red circles. Each red circle, okay, is going to represent 3/5. So we have 3/5, we have 3/5, we have 3/5, and so you're grouping or dividing by groups of 3/5. When you're done, you simply have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your answer is going to be 10. And that's how you would use this model to solve a division problem. Problem number 2. Which is the greatest common factor of 36 and 54? Well, in this situation, all of these are factors of 36 and 54, but only one of them is the greatest, and that would be 18. So if we took and we made a factor tree, you could see where 36 and 54 could be broken down into their prime factors. 2 times 18 is 36. 2 times 9 is 18, and 3 times 3 is 9. Over here, you would have 2 times 27, and then 27 would be 3 times 9. 9 divided by 3 would be 3 times 3. So in this case, we match things up. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can just start matching. And if we match here, we have a 2 matched with a 2. 2 matched with nothing else. A 3 matched with a 3. And a 3 matched with a 3. So in this situation, you would have 2 times 3 to the second. This would create 2 times 3 to the second. 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 9 equals 18. And there you have your greatest common factor. Next question, number 3. Which number sentence is represented by the number line? Well, in this case, what you're looking at, okay, is again, you have 2 units. Each one of these units is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each unit is broken into tenths. So you're looking at the number 2, which is going to be divided, and it's going to be divided by groups that are this big, and that means you have 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths inside there. So basically, what you have is a problem that is being set up so that you have 2 being divided by groups of 4 tenths, And when you get those groups, there's a group of 4/10, a group of 4/10, a group of 4/10, and a group of 4/10 would give you 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And your quotient would be 5. So that's how you come up with that answer there. Number 4. Which has the same value as 3 divided by 5/9? Well, in this situation, what you have is you simply need to look for, if you take this problem and you divide it by 5/9, in order to divide, you'd have to turn this to multiplication and create a reciprocal. Well, the problem then over here that has that same pattern would be number 3. Because you have 3 times 9 over 5, which is the reciprocal of 5/9. Number 5, Holly is displaying a postcard collection on a bulletin board that is 35 3/4 inches wide. If each postcard is 5 7/8 inches in width, which is the best estimate of how many postcards she can display in each row? Well, in this situation, you have a division problem, but they want to do an estimate. The mathematicians are going to give you this answer of 6. This is how you come up with that answer. 5 7/8, okay, is your divisor. 35 3/4 divided by 5 7/8. Well, we're going to take 5 7/8 and round it to 6. We are then going to look for a number that is close to 35, that is a multiple of 6. Well, that number would be 36. So you end up with 36 divided by 6, which gives you an estimate of 6. Number 6, a model train is 15 3/4 inches long. Each car on this train is 2 5/8 inches in length. How many cars are on the train? This is a basic division problem, and you're going to take the length of the train, which is 15 3/4 of an inch, and you're going to divide it by the length of each car on the train, which is 2 5/8. Now, in order to divide, you would then take and you would make each of these an improper fraction. 4 times 15 is 60, plus 3 gives you 63 over 4. We're still going to stay in division, and we're going to do 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21. Hello? Hey, what's up, bro? I don't, but I'm in the middle of filming something. What's up? Sure. Sure. Okay, bye. Sorry about the interruption, kids. All right. So, anyways, we have 63 over 4, and we have 21 over 8. We are now going to create the reciprocal of 8 over 21, and we have 63 over 4, and we're going to create multiplication. Now, in this situation, what you do is you have 21 and 63 are compatible. 21 can go into itself 1 time, and it can go into 63 3 times. 8 and 4 are also divisible by 2 and 4, so 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2, and so we multiply it out, and we get 6 over 1 which equals 6. And so our answer for this is 6 carbs. Okay, the next problem that we look at is number 7. Mr. Sanchez is making pancakes. Each batch of pancakes uses 3/4 cups of milk. If he has 9 cups of milk available, how many batches can he make? Okay, well, again, this is a division problem. And so we're going to take 9 cups and divide it by 3/4. Make 9 an improper fraction. 3/4 will become the reciprocal. Three-fourths will then become the reciprocal, and then you can do your multiplication. So in this case, you would have cross-simplifying, and you would have 1 over 3, and 9 divided by that would be 3. So your new problem is then 3 times 4, which is 12 over 1, which equals 12. And our answer then would be C, letter C. Okay, number 8. Find the quotient. Use the model to help. Okay, so in this situation, we're looking at a model of division, and we're looking at 3/4 divided by 1/4. And so what they've created is, they've created units of 1/4, okay, and they've decided that they're going to take 3/4, okay, which is what you're working with. You have 3/4, and you're going to divide it by pieces that are all 1/4 in size. So we have 1/4 piece, we have another 4th piece, and another 4th piece. So when you look at it from that point of view, you then end up with 1, 2, 3 parts. So your answer for this problem is 3. Now, if you did it mathematically, you would set it up like this. Alright? You would have 3/4, create a reciprocal over 1, and now you would simply do your division. 4 and 4 can be simplified down to 1. 3 times 1 is 3, and you end up with 1, and therefore you can see where you get your quotient of 3. Number 9. How many 1/8 pint tubes can be filled from a 3/4 pint bottle of hydrogen peroxide? Well, this situation is a division problem, and it's a little complicated sounding, but if you read it carefully, it tells you that how many 1/8 pint tubes, so how many tubes that are an eighth, can you get from, and the key word is from, a 3/4 pint bottle. So in other words, we have a 3/4 pint bottle. We are going to divide it. We're going to get from it an unknown amount of 1/8 bottles. Okay? So there's our division problem. Now we just take 3/4, create a reciprocal, cross-simplify. In this case, 4 and 8. 4 will go into 4 one time, it will go into 8 twice. So you will have 3 times 2 is 6 over 1, and that simplifies, and this is important, simplifies down into the whole number of 6. So our answer is going to be 6. Number 10. Hal is stacking some CD cases on a shelf that is 19 7/8 inches wide. If each stack is 4 and 11/16 inches wide, estimate how many stacks of cases will fit on one shelf. Again, this is an estimation problem, so you don't have to do the exact math. And what you're estimating is a shelf that is 19 7/8 inches wide, so it's 19 7/8. You're going to divide it up, okay, by stacks that are each 4 and 11/16 wide. Now when you do that, you're going to round. First of all, we would probably want to round this to 5, because 4 11/16 is closer to 5 than it is to 4. So then you'd have to look for a compatible number that this is close to, that is a multiple of 5. Well, the nearest multiple of 5 to 19 7/8 is 20. So we would divide 20 by 5 and we would get 4. So the mathematicians tell us the answer is about 4. It is about 4. Problem number 11. Evaluate the expression. Well, in this case it says 2 1/6 divided by D for D equals 2/3. So in other words, we're going to take D and we are going to replace it with the value that it says 4. It is a value of 2/3. So now all you have to do is do the division, okay? 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. We now have 13/6 divided by 2/3, and we can create a reciprocal. So we're going to keep our dividend the same, change our operation to multiplication, use the reciprocal of 3/2, and now we can do our cross simplifying. And 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 6 two times, 3 times 1, or 13 times 1 is 13, 2 times 2 is 4, and we get an improper fraction. Now we then have to take the next step and simplify that further into a mixed number. So we have 13 divided by 4, which is 3, and that's 12, and you have a remainder of 1. So our quotient will then be 3 with a remainder of 1/4. This is our whole number, our denominator is 4, and our remainder becomes the numerator. Number 12, which is the least common multiple of 5 and 8? In this situation, it's pretty basic and pretty easy, okay? So what you would have is this is where you would list out the multiples instead of making a factor tree. And the multiples of 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. And then you have the multiples of 8, and you have 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. So in this case, listing the multiples would work out fine. And it just so happens that if 5 is a prime number, so the only factor in it that would match up would be 5 times whatever the factors of 8 are. So it's 5 times 8 gives you 40. Number 13. How many 3/4 foot long pieces of ribbon can be cut from a ribbon that is 7 3/8 feet long? This is a division problem. And so what you're going to do is you're going to divide 7 3/8 divided by 3/4. Again, we have to create an improper fraction. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 3 is 59 over 8. You can then create your reciprocal and go right into your division process. So 4 over 3. And in this case, you would then say, okay, I can cross simplify because 8 and 4 are compatible. 4 will go into 4 one time. 4 will go into 8 two times. So in this situation now we'd have to say, is 3 a factor of 59? Well, if you add 5 plus 9, you get 14. 14 is not divisible by 3, so they are not compatible. We just have to multiply 59 times 1, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have an improper fraction, and they want whole number pieces and parts, so we would take 59, and we're going to divide it by 6. 6 will go into 59 9 times, that will give you 54. Subtract, and you have 5 remaining, so your answer then will be 9 and 5 6 of a piece. 6 is your denominator, 5 is your remainder, 9 is your whole number. So the answer to this would be 9 and 5 6 pieces of ribbon. Nine and 5 6 pieces. Number 13, they want you to solve the problem. The problem is t plus 1/4 equals 2 and 7/12. Well, in this case, you would want to use the inverse operation to solve for the variable. So you would take 2 and 7/12, subtract 1/4. Again, you're subtracting, so you need common denominators, which would be the LCD, least common denominator, or least common multiple. That would be 12 in this situation. So this would be 7/12. It stays the same. 4 times 3 is 12. So 1 times 3 is 3. We now have 7/12. Take away 3/12, leaves you with 4/12. But 4/12 is not simplified. So we're going to divide both of those by the greatest common factor, which would be 4. So 12 divided by 4 equals 3, and 4 divided by 4 equals 1. So our final fraction is going to be 1/3. 2 take away 0 is 2, so our answer is 2 and 1/3. Our answer is 2 and 1/3. Problem 15. Shasta has 3 pounds of wax and uses 3/8 of a pound to make 1 candle. How many candles can she make? Well, this is an exact amount. They don't want an estimate. So we're going to take the 3 pounds of wax and we're going to divide it for the amount of each candle, which is 3/8. And that will tell us how many candles we can actually make. So we have to create an improper fraction. We can then go into our multiplication, but create a reciprocal, and then check for cross simplifying. In this case, we see that 3 can certainly simplify itself. So 3 into 3 will go 1 time. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. Gives you the whole number of 8. So he can make 8 candles. Number 16. This was something new to us. The number line shows the weight of a hamster each week since it was born. If the pattern continues, what will be the hamster's weight in week 5? Don't make the mistake of thinking this is week 1. That is not week 1. Each of these is a week. So that would be on week 1, its weight was 5/16 of a pound, okay? And then on week 2, it was 1/2. On week 3, it was 11/16. On week 4, it was 7/8. So we want to know, what will week 5 be? Then what you need to do is you need to look at your number line and say, okay, well, what is each of these individual units? How would you figure that? Well, these units, you would start and find the whole number, which is 1 right here, and you would count. You'd say, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you're talking about sixteenths. And when you're doing that, you then say, okay, well, if each one of those little units is a 16th, how much weight increase are we getting week per week? Well, here's 1/16, 2/16, 3/16. So it increased by 3/16. The pattern should occur 1/16, 2/16, 3/16. That would be another week, so it's increased. So we would go again, 1, 2, 3, and now we have the unknown from the 4th week, so we're going to go up another 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, which puts us on the number line right there, which means we have 1 and 1/16. So the hamsters next week will be 1 and 1/16 pounds. 1 and 1/16 pounds. Number 17, choose the correct numbers from the box below to complete the table that follows. Evaluate the expression for each value of the variable in the table. So in this situation, these numbers will belong in here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities for 3 possible answers. The expression you evaluate is going to be 4/5 divided by an unknown or a variable minus a half. Now in this situation, we know order of operation tells us we are going to do the division first. So we're going to rewrite the division as 4/5 divided by n. Well, n is indicated by the table, this row of the table. So our first number, it would be n would be 1/4. So 1/4 would be plugged in, and we do our division. So we have 4/5, turn it into multiplication, create a reciprocal, cross simplify. In this case, we cannot cross simplify, so we have 4 times 4 equals 16, and 5 times 1 equals 5. Now, we can continue to work with this as it is, but it might be a little cumbersome. So it's, we're going to turn it into a mixed number. 5, so we'll take 16 and we'll divide it by 5. 5 will go into 16 3 times, that leaves us with 15, a remainder of 1. So we have 3 and 1/5. Now we will add 1/2 to 3 and 1/5. Now in order to do that, in order to use our 3/5, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our problem, and we're going to take, and it's subtracting, it's not adding, I'm sorry, it's subtracting. So we're going to take our 3/5, 3 and 1/5, minus 1/2. We need a least common denominator, which would be, in this case, 10. So 5 times 2 equals 10. You're going to have to multiply the numerator by 2 to keep it an equivalent fraction. 10 is our denominator, so 2 times 5 equals 10. Then we must do 1 times 5 above it. We can now subtract, okay, but you'll see that we have to regroup and we have to borrow. So we're going to borrow from here, and that will become 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to add tenths to that. So we have 12 tenths. 12 take away 5 is 7 tenths. So our answer for the first box is going to be 2 and 7 tenths.